Well, it's finally happened. I've had a lifelong ban from Vimeo. So, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I remember years ago, Vimeo were picking on some independent filmmakers of various content, and they were having their channels shut down, and you know, it was weird because I believe some were just sending out screeners and that's what got them banned, others were selling. Well, many years ago, I was a pioneer for Vimeo. I championed them. They were new and fresh, and they seemed to support independent filmmakers. It was very much about indie film and filmmaking. I had had my channel for 14 years, since 2011, and I had a pro account, and I used it for work and my own independent filmmaking, and I did sell films on there. I had my VOD channel. It was an easy, great way for self-distribution. That's what really appealed to me to get the platform, to get the pro account. And it was originally geared for that because I had an app on the Fire Stick, the Amazon TV, and you know, it was quite accessible. It was distribution worldwide. I was getting sales from some unusual countries I wouldn't expect to buy or know my films, so it was really nice getting that outreach. Now, over the years, they did tighten up a little bit and become a bit more like YouTube, which I've had my problems with, I will get to soon. But when they started tightening up, they went a bit more business orientated. They're all about corporate videos, business videos, which I was doing as well. I have a few sides to me. So Vimeo was fantastic in the sense that I had it as a cloud storage to hold my work. I have masters and backups on hard drives everywhere, but obviously I have a lot of drives, a lot of videos. I've been making films for over 20 years. There's a lot going on. There's 16mm reels, Super 8 reels, VHS tapes, hard drives, all stacked up in boxes that I keep. I used to be a tape librarian at Princess Productions in 2004, many years ago. So I'm good at archiving and organizing like that, but still, it was very convenient because I could quickly grab a link or download something if I was on the road filming, out editing. It was very convenient. And also I would deliver videos to clients via this service as well. It had some great stuff where I've not worked with the most ideal people and was waiting for things to be sorted, so Vimeo allowed it to be locked down so it couldn't be downloaded without making sure that everything was cleared and it was able to be downloaded. Now, also it had the password protection, which was a cool thing, and I had it all linked up to my Film Freeway for festival submissions. So Vimeo, without warning, really have hit me hard. I also used to do a lot of market research for them. I would go on to conferences, webinars, questionnaires. I'd get little gift vouchers and incentives, but I used to be on their focus groups and help them with their new, better testing software and things like that. I had it all synced up to my timeline on Final Cut, so when they had this software, I could straight from the timeline go to Vimeo, which was very good, although it started to get glitchy and buggy and not so good. I'd spent a lot of time working my Vimeo, as I say, 14 years, 3,012 videos on there, and my VOD platform there, you know, we're not talking amazing, but Vimeo paid for itself. So I had a pro account, I paid annually. Having a VOD channel meant that, you know, I got the money back from selling films. Now, Vimeo did not make me rich, and it did not make me well off, believe me. You know, independent filmmakers will tell you it's a struggle with distribution, it's hard work, you get ripped off. You know, this was pocket money that paid for Vimeo and kind of covered other costs on internet that I have to endure with websites and various things. It was just, it helped balance things out for me. Now, years ago, they got a little bit funny with copyright warnings. I hadn't breached copyright. They just started to bot things a little bit like YouTube. This was the other year, and I sorted that out because I have clearances and all that sort of stuff. All of a sudden, the other week when I was editing, I received tons of emails, like well over 50 emails. Like every film I had on my VOD, I was getting emailed about saying it's going offline. And then I was hit with, my channel is shut down. They don't like my content anymore. As I say, they've become a little bit funny. So I argue with them going like, you know, what the hell? They give me a grace period. I don't know how long the grace period is, but they reinstate it, but everything's gone offline VOD wise and all this stuff. So I had to go on and go through and sort out thinking what's what. Now, I will be honest, I've made some controversial films. I'm actually a very easy-going, laid-back guy, but I have made some controversial films. I love exploitation cinema. I love exploring myself through the arts, and I'm not afraid to you know, turn away from taboo, controversial subjects. So some of my films are a little bit in your face, but they are just films. And they're age rated. Some of my films are BBFC certificated. Nothing's illegal, you know, they are set at audiences, they've even got warnings, and the boxes are ticked on Vimeo of what content is in there. It's all above board. There's no hidden, you know, no one's in for a nasty surprise. But I start going through and I do panic. I'm like, well, you know, what can I have on here? When I spoke to them, they actually said unlisted videos are affected as well. So if your video is unlisted or even hidden from Vimeo on that setting, they can still pull you up on it if they start delving and looking. Obviously, I'd been flagged and they were having a deep dive into me and having a field day. So I started to go through, bearing in mind I was out on a shoot, I was doing other filmmaking activities that I had to take care of. I was sitting up in evenings trying to work through 3,012 videos, going through what should be there, downloading, moving stuff around. It was taking time while just trying to battle work. All of a sudden, while I'm doing it, I'm actually sitting there doing it, getting behind on other projects because of this, it goes down again. You know, they've gave me a few days, it's off again. Apparently repeat violation. How can that be when I'm sorting it out? So, speak to the agents. Can't get through to them on the phone, by the way. There's no way of, you know, getting through on the phone. They're very hard to get hold of. You have to go through a chat centre, which was harder for me because my account had gone offline. I'd been erased off the internet. I didn't exist. So how can I get hold of them? I managed to get hold of an agent and someone I had been dealing with and someone else as well. And I'm just told off going, no, I'm out of here. Don't ever try and come on here again. You're banned for life. We don't want you here. So, fine. I've paid a year in advance. I'd used a lot of that up, to be fair, but I'd still paid for a whole year. The whole year weren't up. So, I at least want a refund on the months that I've not, you know, received the service for. No, I've broke the service. We keep that. That's what I'm told. Okay, I've had an email at the same time saying, oh, these are the sales that you've had this month. Not loads. Talking peanuts, really. However, I'm like, well, so I'm going to get the money for the films that I've sold, right? Because that's my intellectual property. They're my films. No, we keep that as well because you broke the rules. Well, that's theft. I'm telling you now. How can they steal my money? I'm going to get to something about that soon regarding distributors as well. So stick around, please. So, fine. I'm not one to take things lying down. You know, I've gone on some forums. I've done a bit of deep diving. And yes, a few people have had this. And I am saddened because if I had to take certain films off, fine, times have changed, things have changed. Some of my films may have not aged well, that's fine. And I was working on that, but to actually have it stripped bare is just not cool. Like, you know, there was no real chance given, there was no compromise, there was no talking. This is censorship at its worst. Again, it's like we've gone backwards. Things got a little bit more easy, and now censorship's kicked in. You know, what's really sad is, you know, years ago I had trouble with YouTube, which I said I'll get to, and obviously Vimeo was the alternate. I could host videos that were a bit too much for YouTube, so, you know, you could see the uncut version or you could buy a version. It was accessible there. You know, that's gone now, which is a shame. So you have places like Film Hub. That doesn't work quite as well as Vimeo in the sense that, you know, Vimeo was more open to running lengths and subtitling, and there was just stuff Vimeo offered that was a bit easier to get your work out there than Film Hub. You have to jump through many more hoops. But you know, I'm on Film Hub and I will be heading more onto there because of this dilemma with Vimeo. Now, with YouTube, I will quickly just say that I'm a lot more cautious now, but I did start posting many years ago, like you know, going a few decades back, and it was very new and I was finding my feet, and I put some trailers on and some previews of my films, and they were a little bit naughty with the content. I didn't really think about it. I was young and naive, and obviously it flagged, and quite a few flagged up at once, and I ended up getting banned off YouTube for 6 months, a very big telling off. Years of fighting, I have managed to get a clean channel. Like, you know, I have no strikes or issues. It's all running okay now. It took a long time for me to find my feet. I had to re-edit a lot of my films for YouTube-friendly versions, and I'm very cautious. I actually am very worried about uploading some films soon. I've been re-editing them, but I have really tried to make them as tame, as clean as can be. I used to say, if you want to see it uncut, head to Vimeo. Can't do that now. I'm working on what to do next. which I will lead to distribution soon. But back to Vimeo regarding them just kicking me off and telling me to do one. I did actually phone my bank and tried to get the money back that way, saying, you know, I've made a purchase last year and it's not been honoured. I want some kind of refund. They were investigating it. Now, the crafty thing is, Vimeo reinstated my channel for this grace period, not really telling me how long, and they kind of made it look like it was all up and running. So I cancelled the investigation via my bank, so that was like clean cut. When they took it for the second time a few days later and left me high and dry, I went back to my bank, and because I'd already closed the dispute, they couldn't reopen it, and they did actually tell me that Vimeo would know that, and that was a bit crafty on their part. So I was advised to go to Citizen Advice Bureau. So they listened and did understand, and they do believe that they were breaching contract by just taking my money and shutting me down like that, because, you know, it works both ways. They can't just like rip me off. So with their help, I did actually write a legal letter. And I was quite stern, and Citizen Advice were very good this time in helping me, and I found their head office in London. I'm based in the UK. So that was posted off to them. Printing off a letter to send to Vimeo, because I'm not really happy how I've been treated. Censorship is one thing, but ripping me off of my royalties and taking my money for service not being provided, I mean, that's a whole different ballgame. The royalty thing, particularly, making money from my work, my intellectual property, and then just withholding it for nonsense. Yeah, I'm not, that's a little step too far. So, you know, I never expect much in this day and age, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Amazingly, I actually thought, you know, I was just going to ruffle some feathers, but not much would come about it. And it was going to be a battle and a fight, which I probably wouldn't win because big corporations crushed the little people. However, I did actually get a response, not really a great response, just an acknowledgement very quickly after I sent it. And I did get a refund from my year of pro membership. I didn't get any royalties that I was owed, by the way. I just got that refund, and that was that, and I'd settled with that. Which, it's a shame. I'm used to getting censored. You know, I've had a few social media hiccups. Again, when TikTok was a bit fresh on the scene, I had the odd little running with them regarding videos, and that's a weird one because I post about my film collection and literally film covers, and not even graphic ones to me, by the way, stuff that has weird trigger words on the case, or, you know, Chopper, where he has the gun to his head. The Second Sight Blu-ray release, that got me struck on TikTok. So I you know, weird things like that. Facebook have gave me a telling off a few times for film posters of films. Again, I don't believe were that bad, and I have seen other people post worse and they don't seem to get it. I do get picked on by the bots, but again, I'm extra cautious now. But Vimeo is a sad one, because if you are wondering why I'm not on Vimeo now, that'd be it. So, you know, that is sad. I did say I was going to get to distribution. So as an independent filmmaker, I have actually spoke about a little bit of this on this channel before. And, you know, it's an ongoing problem. A lot of my films are out of my hands for a few years with distributors. Some of these people I don't like at all. I'll be openly honest about that. They have scammed and ripped me off. I hardly get anything these days. You know, if I want to know where all my money is, I guess Ron Bonk at SI Cinema is the person to ask, because he's literally been going around taking all of my royalties from all the distributors because of, you know, he seems to think he owns my life of film, which he doesn't. I have spoke to people about this recently regarding Terrorize, the final cut of Tortured, which is a whole new vision rework of my film. It's its own film. It had its own film festival premiere and its own release, although again that release has been sad because I never benefited anything from it, apart from getting my film out of physical media, which is nice. Because going back to Vimeo is okay, but, you know, digital is interesting. It's like, you know, it's like an extended rental, and like what's happened with Vimeo, it's happened with Amazon as well, where I know people that have purchased films off Amazon and then one day it just won't be there. It's so, you know, it's gone because of rights, licenses and changing hands, and that's happened to me. I've had a few of my films pulled off Amazon. Amazingly, if I went for a distributor, it would easily get on there, but going through as an individual, it gets on there, maybe not on Prime, because anything which is a bit like near the mark with sexual content, that has to be paid for, or rented, like paid to own, paid to rent, which is a harder sell, because if someone's flicking through and it's on Prime and they've got Prime, they can watch it there for free. I've got more chance of someone watching that film than buying it. But no, you're not allowed to do that if you're an independent person where your film's a bit risque. But then also, because of bad reviews and trashing, which could be haters, you never know. You know, things happen in life and you have a little run. Some people might just pick on reviews. You know, I know filmmakers have had bad IMDb's. Some of it might be legit. I do also feel like some people are just being a bit rude and hateful. And sometimes the films have hardly been out. I doubt half the people who haven't seen it that are rating it. But that affects your Amazon as well, because IMDb and Amazon are the same company. And, you know, sometimes Amazon are like, well, this film's not really performing. We don't like, you know, giving crap away. So we're going to rip it. That has happened to some of my early films, unfortunately. And, you know, I'm not saying they're great films, and, you know, some of them are bad and some people hate them, but there are some people that don't mind them. You know, art is subjective. There's something for everyone. You know, what someone hates, someone will like. So it is a shame that it's just ripped off for no reason apart from they just don't think it's very good. I mean, it's nice to let the person be the judge of that, really. I'm open to watching anything in that sense. So, you know, there's a lot of films I don't like. There's a lot of films I love. Even if I don't like something, I can try and find merit in it. Or it's interesting to see at least, or you know, understand that vision. To just throw it out like that is really sad, actually. So it's great to get physical media releases, which I have done, and I have been quite successful, and it's been years of battling, and a lot of my stuff is out on physical media. And some of them were fantastic releases, really, considering, you know, the budgets and the battles getting them from beginning to end. But it is sad when you get crap messages telling you your own work and what you can and can't do, and what you release. Now, as I say, Terrorize is its own film, and I'll stand by that. You know, I know filmmakers that I've spoke to have worked around doing stuff by re-editing, retitling, and you are. Terrorize wasn't even just a slight rework. I mean, it was a ground up built film, you know, different grade, different score, alternate footage, just edited from scratch, edited from absolutely, you know, the beginning of remastering everything. I mean, it is its own film. But it's not doing overly well for me. It's out there and it's done well in one way, but at the same time it's done rubbish for me. So that's great. You know, and there is a Facebook group actually that talks about bad distribution deals and bad distributors. And I was on there and I would actually go and tell my story, but Joe Castro, the filmmaker, is the guy that runs that. He is the gatekeeper. For some reason I was booted off that, and I did actually message and openly reached out to Joe going, hey, you know, how come? And apparently I've posted something offensive. Well, I doubt that, because although I've made controversial exploitation films, I'm very careful what I post on social. You know, I can be an outspoken, opinionated man, but I don't get into politics online, and I don't really go there with stuff, because I just like to kick back and make films and watch films, and I even teach films to younger people. So no, I'm not doing stupid things like that online, so I don't know what the problem is. But for reaching out and asking and telling the story about problems I've had with distribution regarding physical media releases and having the royalties stolen from me, I was then just blacklisted even more, and the group rules at one point read, and whatever you do, don't upset Jason. It was like rule 9. That's actually bullying. That's I will actually say, I've got thick skin, whatever. I'm a filmmaker that gets bad reviews all the time, but that's not cool. You know, I'm here if ever anyone wants to reach out to discuss that. But no, you know, it's a shame as well, because I support independent filmmakers. I have a huge collection of like nearly 6,000 movies, including a ton of independent filmmakers, including Joe Castro's films himself. Like I have, and you know, we started out similar in the sense that he had the same distributor as I did, Maxim Media International, which was also Brain Damage Films, and he was on the same label releasing stuff at the same time as I was with the original Edit of Tortured, and you know, everything was hooked up online, people were networking, it was cool. The scene's gone a bit sour in that sense sometimes. It's, you know, I don't, it's a bit horrible. I don't really like it. I don't know why it has to have gone the way it's gone regarding just the sour, bitter taste of the indie film scene. But anyway, going a bit off piece there from my original idea of the video, which was just censorship in general, like, you know, getting kicked off the socials and getting like Vimeo shutting me down, you know, I'm cancel cultured. It does make it hard and disheartening to carry on making films. I still am doing stuff. There's films I'm working on that are coming out. Actually, a lot more nice and different for me as well. And you know, I've moved on quite a lot doing drama films. I love horror. I still will delve. It was how I started out. It's a huge soft spot I have in general that got me into film, and you know, I love collecting exploitation films still. So it's here, but I tell you, it's been a journey getting to getting to the age of 41, still making films from literally starting out as a teenager. Well, a child. I made my first film as a kid. It's really bad, but you know, I was like 10 years old. So yeah, it's been a journey. I'm sure there's many more adventures to come. It's just a shame about, you know, having to fight the censors still. I thought things were getting better. I grew up in a strict UK with video nasties and BBFC being, you know, the BBFC a lot more lenient now. I mean, some of my films have gone through there without any cuts, and it has surprised me. I was actually, I know one was not flagged, but you know, it was sent up the chain a little bit just to review because it was a bit near the mark, but it was fine. No cuts, nothing. It's, you know, it's quite amazing. I know years and years ago, if I'd have submitted that would have probably been a cut, definitely been cut, not uncut. So, you know, it's a shame that we've reached that level there with like BBFC and cinema, but then like this on demand VOD side, but you know, that's the Vimeo going into the more corporate sector, change of hands, change of their manifesto, and I just don't feel like it's supporting independent filmmakers anymore, unfortunately. It's a shame. I think there's a bit of a hole in the market there. I know there's a lot of stream services, but everything's getting competitive, you know, and everything's tightening their belts, so it's a tough game, but keep pushing, keep fighting. I will keep going. If I have to censor uploads of stuff and put it on YouTube, fine. I have been doing that. I will probably have more success through putting some films on YouTube than going through some of the independent distributors that have completely ripped me off. It'll be great when I get my rights back so that I am not being ripped off anymore. Not all are bad, some are okay. I've had some okay stories with some, and you know, some kind of look after me a little bit, but it's a bit of a shark world. I will just say, I'm easygoing on distributors. I made my documentary Vipco The Untold Story. I had a on-the-road journey doing that, talking to a lot of people, delving right into the business side of distribution, and I had a big understanding, and I really did understand the lack of money that is there sometimes, and that they're not complete rip-off merchants to filmmakers. And a lot of filmmakers bash indie distributors and they're rude and horrible. I did not jump on that bandwagon. I wasn't rude about it. However, when I had a very bad time and I had threats of this and that and legal action and stuff, that's not cool. That is not cool at all. And it did make me be like, do you know what? I don't speak out a lot, but that's really not cool, and I'm not happy about that, you know. You're making a lot of money off my work. I'm making nothing, by the way, you know. So what, a few £1,000 here and there over 20 odd years doesn't even cut the budget back to some of these films. That money more was spent on the production, let alone all the equipment and other stuff I've had to pay for and delve with to get these films made. So they're not all of them are even in profit. They're not even broke even. You know, it's a hard game out there. So, you know, maybe just treat indie filmmakers a bit nicer when you're sitting behind your desk being rude. Just a fool. But I'm off Vimeo. But find me here. If you like this sort of content, I am doing a lot more film reviews. Please like and subscribe, and welcome to my world of indie film, and more of my films in YouTube friendly forms are heading this way. So you can find me on this platform for now. I plan to stick around. Hopefully no more bans and censorships for me. Thanks for watching.